Hi, welcome to Cook with Joy. I'm Joy Kelly, and this is season 4 of my cooking show. Can you believe that?
We've done 4 seasons.
It's crazy. And you know, this season, we're kind of doing a little bit of what Derek likes to call prep with joy. Because I realize after 3 seasons that there are some things that I'd like you to know about. Yeah, I love to have fun. I love to show you how to make healthful things that also taste good, that are vegan and gluten-free. But I also realize that some of you may be on a health journey, and I can give you a little bit of pointers in the right direction of where to go with your personal health assessment. Additionally, being super prepared in your kitchen and for the week and even for the month or for the season can be really important in helping you to hit your health targets. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about what you need in your kitchen. There are some basic things that you're going to want to have in your kitchen if you want to set up a healthful lifestyle and a healthful kitchen. And they are, you should have some good knives, one small and one large, a good peeler, you can get that at any kitchen store. Get a food processor, and I'll show you the one that I use in just a minute. Get some flexible cutting boards. I like to use one cutting board for savory things like onions and garlic, and then another one for fruit so they don't get cross-contaminated. You want to have parchment paper because you can use those instead of putting oil on sheets. It really work great. Or a little silicone slip will work as well. You might want to have a hand chopper. I'm not a huge fan, but some people really like those. A juicer if you want to make some fresh juices. And then a blender. Vitamix, of course, is my favorite, but any blender will do. And then you want to have a scraper that will help you to pick things up off the cutting board and out of the appliances that you're using. Let me just show you a couple of my favorite appliances in the order of what I think is most important. I was never exposed to a food processor when I was growing up, and when I learned how to use this, it made such a big difference. And Derek, you know how much I use a food processor in our shows. I've had this one for over 10 years. I bought it for $59, and I love it. What I love about it is that it has an expandable top, so I can fit a whole fruit or a vegetable in here. A whole tomato will go inside of the top of this. I also love that it has changeable blades, so I can use this for whirling stuff around, but I can also use a dicing and chopping attachment that is really, really, really useful. If you had to choose one appliance for your kitchen, it would absolutely be a food processor. But remember, it doesn't have to be expensive.
Well, going back to the knives, how do you tell if a knife is good? Is it how much it costs?
You know what? I am terrible at knives. You should talk to someone who likes knives because I'm terrible at them. There are some I have Cutco knives and I like those just fine. They should be able to hold a blade. And that's one of the key things that I've learned is that if your knife is not sharp, it's not going to operate the way that you want it to. So you can actually keep a sharpener on hand and you can sharpen it, file it when you're using it on a regular basis. I need to learn how to be better at that. I'm not so much as a great chef as I am a great nutrition educator, Derek. That's what I do best. My second favorite piece of equipment is a Vitamix. Now this used to be my favorite piece of equipment and I still really, really, really love it. But if you're tight on money, you could get by with just a blender. I love the Vitamix because I do so much with it. You could get by with a normal blender, but I love my Vitamix. So, you choose where you want to spend your money in your kitchen. The reason I like the Vitamix is how high powered it is. The average Vitamix is about 2 horsepower. This is an industrial version and it has 3 horsepower. I could basically grind up just about anything and they last and last and last and last. So I can make hot soups just from using the engine, the power from the motor. I can make soup hot. And it's really, I love it. I also love that it's got 3 different attachments really. You can chop up nuts, you can chop up grains. It's really a pretty versatile piece of equipment, but it is fairly spendy. So you could get by with just a regular blender or one of those little bullets. Those work as well. The next thing is this Instapot. And yeah, sure, you could use a crock pot if you wanted, but what's awesome about the Instapot is that number one, it's not that expensive. I think this cost me about $129 on Amazon. But what's great is that you can cook rice in it, you can heat things up in it, you can use it as a pressure cooker, you can use it as a slow cooker. I like to start like a casserole or a soup in the morning, and when I come home, it's all ready to eat. So Instapots are awesome. I have not explored these as much as I should, but I'm really, really, really excited about this piece of equipment.
That's like the perfect thing for single people. They can cook a huge meal before they go to work and they come home and their house smells amazing.
Yes, that's absolutely, absolutely true. And you can use it for parties. I love using it for parties. It's really fantastic. Now let's talk about planning your week in food. There are lots of sites out there that will give you a weekly planner. In fact, I just discovered that Whole Foods has planners depending on how you like to eat. Like if you want it to be grain heavy, or you want it to be bean heavy, or you just want a simple plan, or you want comfort food, you can go to WholeFoods.com and they'll help you with a meal planner. It's awesome. Have you seen that, Derek?
I haven't, but I'm checking that out immediately.
It's really pretty cool. But the things that I like to suggest that you do or have your plan for the week and make sure that you've got everything that you need. Now, maybe you're using something like Blue Pantry or those delivery services that they have. I've never used one of those, but I always have staples on hand. I always have potatoes, and usually at the beginning of the week, I'm going to make up some baked potatoes, and I might have a baked potato that night with guacamole, salsa, beans, corn, etc. And then I'm going to save those baked potatoes because I'm going to use them throughout the week for different recipes. And you've seen some of those things that we've made on other seasons of Cook with Joy.
Is that the most versatile food, would you say?
Well, I would actually say that beans and rice, or beans and grains are more. So you want to make a pot of grains. If you like quinoa, make a pot of quinoa. If you like rice, make a big pot of brown rice and have that be available. Make some beans. You can make beans ahead of time, and it's so much less expensive than buying them in the canned form. You can also cut up all the vegetables that you're going to use for salad that week. So that's sometimes the most time-consuming part of making a salad is chopping up carrots, chopping up cabbage. And I like to chop my own because when you buy them at the store, you don't know how long they've been in those bags and how much they've oxidized. So I like to bring them home, chop them up no more than a week in advance, keep them in Ziploc, airtight bags, and then they're ready for me to make when I'm ready for that salad.
Is that the refrigerator life of vegetables, about a week?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about greens, none at all. There's really no shelf life at all. Once they're picked, you got to really eat them. That's why I like to use greens that still have the roots attached, and I grow those in my own aeroponic garden. But other vegetables like tomatoes and cabbage and carrots, you can cut those up in advance and still use them. My final tip to you is keep getting better at being prepared. Plan your week, whether it's on Saturday or Sunday or maybe even Monday, and get your kids involved, get your family involved, and know exactly what your plan is for the week. Because if you fail, those who fail have failed to make a plan. No one plans to fail, they just simply fail to plan. Don't let that be you.
No way.
And stay tuned for our next week's episode of Cook with Joy. I can't wait.